Hey everyone, today I'm going to show you how to get a cool vocal effect to use as a transition for your track. Of course, you could achieve this using stock plugins such as EQ, delay, reverb, compression, distortion, etc. But I found that using the plugin called Movement from Output was a great way to kind of dive into ideas from the get-go using different presets. All right, let's jump right into it. The first thing I want to let you guys know is this plugin, I believe, is $150 if you buy it directly from Output, but you could get it much, much cheaper on a website called KVR Audio. I've obtained many plugins using this site. Just from a quick search I did right now, actually, someone on KVR Audio is selling this for $15. So that's relatively cheap compared to $150. So you could definitely search on this forum. Other people could be selling it for even cheaper, but I think $15 is probably the cheapest I've seen as of now. As for the plugin itself, there's one of two ways you could do this. You could automate the plugin to activate on the parts you want it to play at, which is what I did here. So if we look at the activation lane, you could see that in the beginning of the song, I have it triggered to activate, and when the regular courses come in, it deactivates the plugin. This is essentially an on and off switch here. One way you could do it as well is to record the effect directly onto a separate track, and I think that's probably a better way to do it. I did that in my next example I'll show you in a little bit here, and you'll have a little more flexibility for how the plugin actually works. But in this example, let's show you the differences on how it sounds. So if we want to listen to the vocal by itself without the effect.
I put you first, then there is me here.
That's how it's going to sound. If we play it with the effect, let's go to the beginning where the automation starts.
I put you first, then there is me here.
Now, if you're wearing headphones, you should be able to tell that it's panning from right to left and left to right. Of course, if you're maybe watching this on a phone or something else, you might not be able to hear that, but Movement gives you different parameters that you could alter, and auto panning is one of them. Of course, you have distortion, delay, and everything else. One thing you guys really need to understand about adding effects to your vocals is how it changes the dynamics and resonances within the frequency spectrum, okay? Now, how to notice these different frequency changes and resonances is to use your ears is probably the most reliable thing, but if you kind of want a second perspective on what's going on in the frequency spectrum, I would use a spectrum analyzer such as Span, which is free. And I'll put a link in the description from Dan Worrell, who essentially has a video called Mixing with Your Eyes, and he tells you how to set Span up, different parameters to change, and how he uses it to mix his songs. I have it set up the same exact way he uses in his videos, but let me show you what is going on in the frequency analyzer, or should I say the spectrum analyzer, to show you the problems that can occur.
I put you first, then there is me here. Yeah, I'm tired of this curse.
So as you can see, the frequencies on the side section of the analyzer are jumping up to the midsection, and you definitely do not want that, because when you have the sides creeping above the mids within a spectrum analyzer like this, you're most likely going to have mono compatibility issues, meaning you may play this song on your studio monitors and since it's going to sound great, but if you play it on a phone or another speaker, such as a Bluetooth speaker, these resonances might overpower everything else and shove everything else back in the mix, and it may not sound great. So one thing we could do to mitigate that problem is use some sort of an EQ or a multiband compressor, and that's exactly what I did for this case here. So the EQ that I always use is the FabFilter Pro Q3. By default, when you double click on any point in the frequency spectrum on FabFilter Pro Q3, it'll default to stereo. But what I did is change it to side mode, notched out some problematic frequencies, and it really cleaned up that area. So if we enable this Pro Q3 and play it again, you will see how the spectrum analyzer reflects that.
I put you first, then there is me here. Yeah, I'm tired of this curse. Let me be free.
So as you can see here, the side is just below the mids on the frequency spectrum, and there's no red peaks. It's not creeping up too high, and we essentially solve the problems by adding just a little bit of a notch down here of around 5 dB, around, what is this, 140 hertz all the way up to 409 hertz. You know, there's never going to be a perfect solution. You're going to have to do it on a case-by-case basis, but this is how I solved those issues in this specific song. For this next example, I'm going to show you a different way I did it, which was record the actual effect onto a separate track, which you see here I called effect chorus. So this is the effect printed onto another track, and it gave me a little more flexibility, and of course I could now mess with more auto panning I have down here in Ableton. I threw on a multiband compressor and another Q3 to tame those resonances and crazy dynamics that could be caused by the effect. So let's show you again how the effect sounds turned off.
Why do you wanna stay here? You know that I got it, you know that I got my way clear.
And then we'll show you how it sounds with the effect on. And one thing is kind of cool that I did was I chopped up part of it and threw it into the chorus itself to give it a little bit of a groove. So let me show you how that part sounds just by itself real quick.
You know that I got it, you know that I got my way clear. You tell me you want me, I don't.
So it's pretty subtle, but within the mix, it definitely sounds a little better. And again, if we turn off the multi-band compression and the Q3, let's show you how it sounds on span and how the resonances can definitely peak out here. So one thing that I noticed that were causing a lot of issues were in the lower frequencies here, down all the way I think it was like 30 hertz, but from 30 to around 70 hertz, there was some popping and clicking that I heard. And if you have headphones on, you will definitely be able to hear this. I'll try it one more time. Let me turn it up for you guys and see if you could really hear this. Let's turn this up even to like 15. And let me know if you guys could hear these pops and clicks that occur down in the sub frequencies. And again, one thing I did to kind of fix that issue was use a Pro Q3. You could use any EQ, of course. And I did a low cut around 130 hertz, and it got rid of all that nasty clicking sound and kind of muddiness. And just from that by itself, here we could even turn this off here for a second. Just by that by itself, it cleaned it up a bunch. So let's hear that. So I don't know if you guys could tell the difference. Of course, you'll need headphones to be able to hear it, but that definitely helped. I also added a dynamic EQ, which kind of will tame the frequencies around 700 hertz. It'll push them down a little bit. And the last thing I added was, I believe, a multiband compressor to tame the highs. Now, this multiband compressor is really awesome. The reason why I like it more than just a dynamic EQ within Pro Q3 is because you could mess with a threshold a bit more, along with the ratio, of course. You don't have that option within Pro Q3. It's more of like an auto threshold that you can kind of set, but of course you don't have the different parameters like attack and release and other things such as the knee, which is cool as well. So if we combine those together, let's hear how it sounds now. So this multi-band compressor is pretty subtle. It's not ducking out a lot of the frequencies, but it's definitely cleaning them up quite a bit. And the last thing, which is kind of optional, of course, is I put a little auto panning on here. I might even go back and automate this a little more to decrease and increase the amount of auto padding that's going on. But that was another little thing I wanted to throw in there just to add on to the effect. Now, if you guys want to hear how it sounds in context with the entire mix, I will play that for you right now. Let's put this back to -10, or sorry, +10, and let's play everything together. So that's pretty much it. If you guys have any other comments or questions, I'll do my best to answer them in this video. I'm going to be coming out with new videos probably every week showing different techniques and things I've used in my songs. I'm going to be releasing a studio tour of my home studio within the next couple days. I have my new single coming out on Saturday, which of course is again, I believe in 2 days. Today's Thursday. So definitely check that out. I will throw up a link up in the description. You can follow me on Twitter, Instagram, Facebook, all that fun stuff. I will also be streaming on Twitch from time to time. But other than that, thanks for watching, and I'll see you guys next time.